All right, welcome back to TEW Impact. We are at April week 2. I'm just gonna start right into it with the spreadsheet and the news because I don't really want to almost an hour long video like I did last week or last video, I guess. Last in-game week. But I did get some feedback in the comments that they liked having this kind of worldview of this in-game world, so that's not just impact, but the world surrounding it, which is I like this too. That's why I included it. So I'm gonna keep it this way. Um, I just like having this alternate reality from our current reality that you know we have impact, and then the rest of the world, how it's different from ours, whatever. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna keep it this way. I want to just tell you if you got comments, just please uh put them in the comments. So it just doesn't seem like I'm doing this for myself, even though I am. But you know, tell me what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, what can be improved. How bad I suck. I don't care. But yeah, sometimes this feels like I'm doing this in front of a brick wall, so it's kind of nice when people pop in and, say things. So, whatever you want, whatever. I'm rambling. Let's just go right into the news. The numbers for last week, before the impact is zero point 0.01 as usual. Last week's impact was a 0.24 TV rating, down from 2.25. Attendance was at 360, down from 382 from last week. We had a slight jump last week, but we're back to a downward trend again because of our coming in last of our regional battles. Our overall show rating was a 37. I mentioned I was kind of disappointed in it, but it did end up being the fourth best impact I've booked so far. March week 3 and 4, we're tied for first. So, it's not that bad, but we can do better, especially since, our show ratings are pretty much the cause of our last ranks of our regional battles, which causes a drop in attendance, which we don't want because we'll lose money, blah blah blah. So, gotta keep going up. Impact news, we extended Brian Meyer's contract. 1 year deal, written ironclad clause. It was coming up. I think he had a month left, and I just got on it. We signed a new referee, Brian Stifler, accepted a handshake deal. I think we only had like 3 refs. So I kind of want to beef up staff a little bit. I've been beefing up the road agents, beefing up referees. So, you know, good to have more hands on deck to spread things out. Correction from last week, Davey Richards' MLW deal was a handshake, not a written. I think I was taking this from like the news rumor before there was officially news, and the official news was that it was a handshake and not a written. So, doesn't really change anything for us, but Davey Richards is with us, and um, I think we might be priority, but again, no big deal. Just it wasn't like a exclusive deal anyway. So, AEW news. AEW had a big week last week. They've ended their agreements to not sign workers from WWE, NXT, or NXT UK, causing all 3 brands to adopt a hostile attitude towards them. So we will see what becomes of that. Um, if they steal people away or whatever. I'm pretty sure we have deals like that with AEW and NXT and WWE and stuff like that because I've been, in my searches for talent, there's been talent I've wanted to use and can't because they're signed by AEW, or, I think even, I don't know if yeah, like even if they're signed to a handshake deal with the AEW, I can't use them because of their agreement. So that kind of sucks. But We'll see how that works for them. They've also increased their production values to high quality. Tay Conti has extended her handshake deal, and Rebel has left AEW, which this was also much like Mace, I think last week or the week before, where it didn't even show up in the news, like the main news splash page. I had to dig in like the list of all the news to see that she left. So must not have been that big a deal for them. So, but again, so what if alternate universe, blah blah blah. News elsewhere, we had some I don't know if this is going to be that big a deal, but we had some style changes for some companies. NXT UK changed their style from family-friendly pro wrestling to classic sports entertainment, and then Stardom changed their style from classic mainstream pro wrestling to wrestling as a sport. Um, Not really sure what the difference is between those. Either one really, but uh, yeah. Um, Actually, like when they threw up the thing that NXT UK was changing this classic sports entertainment, I was just kind of like, oh, good for them. But when I saw their thing was already family friendly pro wrestling, it's just like, all right, that's probably not that big a deal, but whatever. AAA, the Ultimate Warriors of LA Park and La Bestia del Ring defeated Los Traidor Clowns, Murder Clown, and Monster Clown on an episode of Worldwide to win the AAA World Tag Team Championships. If you remember, these are the championships that FTR held that they dropped earlier this year to the Clowns. And then FTR just recently had their loan to AAA expire, so they left and are not working there anymore. So, but yeah, now those titles are with LA Park and La Bestia del Rey. For New Japan, Satoshi Kojima defeated Tomohiro Ishii at Sakura Genesis to win the Never Openweight Championship 1 week before retirement. So he retires. I think he retires next week if I have it worked out right. And he won the open weight title, and he's already defended it once. They had another show after that Sakura Genesis, and he defended it against Minoru Suzuki. So we'll see if he has to like if he retires as champ and has to drop the belt or what, but thought that was kind of weird. And then also Ryusuke Taguchi extended his exclusive written contract. MLW, Alex Shelley has won the 2022 Battle Riot. Um, I put Alex Shelley news in here since he's actually back in Impact now as of last week, but I didn't know if putting the Alex Shelley news beforehand of him stepping in for multiple one night deals was a tip off to if he you know if reporting on him meant he was coming into Impact or whatever. But yeah, he's here now. So but yeah, he won their 2022 Battle Riot. I assume that's a Battle Royal. I don't really keep track with MLW. So I don't know if that's a rights like a bragging rights thing or if he earns a title shot, whatever. But for titles, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, Keith Lee defeated Papo Esco at their monthly event to win the UWN Television Championship. And then AAW, this was something I just found funny. Juventud Guerrera and Hakeem Zayn, formerly known as Rohit Raju from Impact, um, became a team at AAW's anniversary show, and then later joined the wrestling stable with our Jake Something after Eddie Kingston was removed from that stable. So there's a stable with Jake Something, Juventud Guerrera, and Hakeem Zayn. Which actually, when I started this game, this was either right before or right after in real life Rohit um left Impact. So I wasn't sure if he was still gonna be on the roster, and I debated either, if he was gonna stay or if he was on the roster, I would have used him, but he wasn't. I thought about re-signing him. Kind of he is a sort of local-ish guy in my area. He's from Michigan, whereas I'm in from Northwest Ohio, so would have been cool to have him on, but we didn't. But I thought this was just kind of funny. This just assemblage of Jake something and Juventud Guerrera and Hakeem Zayn. Um, just a funny group of people. Retirements announced: Ted DiBiase Sr., um, Satoru Sayama, Mike Bucci, Barry Darso, Octagon, and Chaz, aka Headbanger Ash, I think. I think Thrasher's the other one. Yeah. And then officially retired as of this week are Kevin Nash and Sean Morley. If I do a what if episode of things I didn't do, I wanted to bring Kevin Nash in, but just his retirement and announced just didn't fit into the time frame I wanted to do things in, so I didn't do them. But that's if I do a what if episode. Further down the line. I'm sure there's more things I will not be able to do. Before the impact results of tonight, we had Caleb with a K defeated Diener. Um, I think I have notes on this. I'm trying to remember because I booked this like a week ago. I screwed up some of the impact booking. But yeah, I think I put it in this spread in this presentation. But I think I wanted Caleb to win by DQ when Diener would just like, go ape shit and ref threw the match out and awarded it to Caleb. But then I think I accidentally uh, awarded it to him outright. So, but then after the match, Diener's like continued going ape shit, and then Lawrence D or Larry D and Falaba run out to make the save for Caleb with a K. And then we get promo from Savannah Evans and Tasha Steeles, talking about how they have like a secret weapon. We get a promo from Ace Austin, who challenges Johnny Swinger and Swinger's crew to come out to the ring later on in Impact, which surprisingly got a low rating. Um, and then Quinn McKay went to a double DQ, or Quinn McKay and Madison Rain went to a double DQ due to the interference of a new face, Janai Kai. Janai Kai comes out, kicks Quinn McKay. Madison celebrates, but Kai kicks her too. Savannah and Tasha come out and start beating on everyone. And this is what results in a wild brawl. Um, Roxy and Rachel come out to get Quinn McKay, but they're outnumbered. Uh, Brandy Lauren runs out mostly to save Madison Rain and take her to the back to avoid getting, beat down. But basically, uh, a big brawl breaks out, and it's Savannah Evans and Tasha Steeles and Janai Kai have formed an alliance to end before the impact. Backstage notes. We had some backstage incidents. Luckily, they were all good again. Ian Riccaboni lightened the mood with his cartoon drawings. And then Chris Sabin was brought before Wrestlers Court for not picking up the bar tab. Got a small positive result. Overall morale is at 87%, which is pretty good. Yeah, and this is my BTI notes and screw ups. Accidentally booked Caleb winning over Diener via pinfall instead of Diener by freakout DQ. And then Janai Kai was supposed to interfere. Oh, yeah, this was just pretend that Janai Kai interfered in the double DQ draw. I think when I ran the show, it just ended as a double DQ draw, and Janai Kai wasn't a part of it, but she was part of the back end show brawl. And like I said, Janai Kai, Tasha Steeles, and Savannah Evans are a unit. And then posted an update of the Good Brothers Tag Team Tournament since we are in the semifinals. Tonight we have the Motor City Machine Guns, who won last week, versus Brian Miser and Avery Good. And then next week we will have the Wolves versus the Gospel of Violence. The winners of those two matches will meet at Rebellion, and then the winner of that match will face the Good Brothers at Under Siege. So, I think that's it. Yep. So we will go into Impact. All right, we start tonight's Impact with Steve Macklin versus Trey Miguel. Doesn't have anything on here about Shark Boy being the guest referee, as announced last week, but he's there. The winner will go on to face Shark Boy at Rebellion for the X Division title. It ends up being Steve Macklin, surprisingly. Um, Turns out, thought they were stacking the deck against Steve Macklin to make sure he didn't get that X Division title shot that he always wanted. But he threw Trey Miguel out of the ring, and when Shark Boy goes to make the count, Macklin grabs Shark Boy by the mask and turns it backwards so he cannot see out of it. And then while Shark Boy is blinded, Steve Macklin lays out Trey Miguel with a chair, throws the chair out. By the time Shark Boy is able to turn his mask around and uh, see again, he sees Macklin pinning Trey Miguel and reluctantly has to count the 1, 2, 3. Segment rating of 35. Our X Division storyline actually gaining heat, thankfully. But yeah, it's going to be Steve Macklin versus Shark Boy at Rebellion. But after the match, Steve Macklin goes back, grabs the chair, and goes to hit Trey Miguel with it again, but outruns Shane Strickland. So we get a reminder that while Steve Macklin is facing Shark Boy at Rebellion, uh, Shane Strickland will be facing Trey Miguel at Rebellion, and the winner of that match will get the next X Division title shot at Under Siege. So Shane wants to make sure, that Macklin does no further damage to his opponent. So, things are kosher. But Steve Macklin gets what he wants, unfortunately. Segment rating of 34 for that. And then we get an angle. This is a follow up from before the impact where Johnny Swinger and the Swingers crew come out. And Swinger's like, yeah, Ace Austin, I heard your message. You guys wanted us to come out to the ring. Here we are. What do you guys want? We have a business to run. We have a casino to run. We should be doing that right now. But instead, we're playing your stupid games. But we're here. What do you want? And then uh, Ace Austin, well, no one really comes out for a few minutes or a few little bit. But Ace Austin comes up on the screen and he's outside of Swingers Casino. And Ace Austin's like, "Hey, you know where I'm at. Does this place look familiar?" And it's, the abandoned warehouse uh that Swingers Palace is currently in. But he's like, "Hey, cameraman, let me take you inside." And while, they walk inside, Austin's like, "You got, you should have never, kicked me out of that casino. And, I know the numbers have been against me, so I got some friends of my own." And by the time they get into the casino, there's Raj Singh and Shara, and they're basically ruining the casino. They're flipping over tables, they're breaking slot machines, just just throwing money everywhere, taking all the money they can, taking chips, throwing chips everywhere, and Swinger's going ape shit, and the rest of the crew has to calm him down. And just basically, this is Austin's revenge for, the way he's been treated by Swinger and his crew. And all he wanted was to come in and gamble. But, you had to mess with me, and now I'm messing with you back. So, uh, storyline is advanced. Kind of wondered about, inserting two like extremely low card guys in this feud, but most of these guys are lower mid card anyway. But that takes a hit with involving Raj and Shara for involving it in, you know, how long did I book this for? This is a freestyle segment, so excuse me, 5 minutes. So, I probably could have booked that a little bit low, a little shorter, but whatever. Segment rating of 22 for that. And then we get an angle where basically we have Matthew Raywalt. He had just kind of given Black Taurus a pep talk and showing him out towards the ring for his next match. And when Black Taurus is out of view, he gets jumped by the AAA contingent of Astrolux, Gotita de Plata, and Commander. The next match is Black Taurus versus Laredo Kid. So, the young guys wanted to make sure, Laredo Kid gets a one-on-one shot at Black Taurus without Matthew Raywalt at ringside interfering. Unfortunately, segment rate of 18, but a couple of our new guys are getting better at their gimmicks, which their gimmicks are probably luchador, so I would hope they get better at that. But yeah, Black Taurus versus Laredo Kid. Black Taurus still defeats Laredo Kid, but at least Laredo Kid did get a fighting chance without Matthew Raywalt at ringside, but it wasn't enough. Black Taurus just had his number. Surprisingly, Laredo Kid has an in-ring of 41, but Black Taurus has an in-ring of 29. That's kind of surprising, but still. Sigma ring of 37. Black Taurus, a powerhouse. And then we get a backstage segment where we see Avery Good walking by himself, and he's kind of mumbling to himself about, Brian Myers, like, I gotta get him, wrist tape, I gotta get him coffee, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. We got a match tonight, and I'm worried, you know, we should be focused, we should be strategerating. Yeah, we should be getting our strategy together about, we got the Motor City Machine Guns tonight, we can't really imagine he's saying all this by himself, but as he's walking, a pair of hands come out holding a baseball bat and conks Avery on the head, knocking him out. And then those hand once Avery Good is out and hits the floor, those hands pull him by the legs out of sight. Avery Good has been kidnapped, likely by the same mystery person who kidnapped BSK and CPA last week. Segment rating of 24. And then we get another backstage segment where we see Rich Swann and Willie Mack. They're kind of hanging out, and they kind of reiterate the same thing last week, where the tag team might be over, but their friendship isn't. They're putting a friendship over their tag team. They don't they're worried they're losing ways in a tag team would hurt their friendship, and they'd rather not have that. So they're on good terms. But while they're talking, Chris Bay comes in and he's like, I heard what you guys said last week, and I've been in the same boat. I've also been, X Division champion, and I've been in a slump, and, but I don't think, we should be, splitting up. I think we need to show solidarity with each other. And Rich is like, no, you don't get to do this. You and your, Bullet Club, you wanting to be in the Bullet Club, started all this. And you don't get to latch onto us just because you're not doing the greatest either. But we not me and Willie might not be a team, but we'll still both kick your ass. So how about next week, you, me, and Willie in a three-way? And then, we'll see what's up then after, that match. And Bay is just kind of taken aback, but he's just like, all right, fine. If that's how you guys want to play it, we'll see who comes out on top. Segment rating of 34 on that one. We got a match for next week. And then we get a 3-on-2 handicap match with Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie versus the Aussie Invasion. This was set up mostly by Tennille Dashwood and Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna Purrazzo um, wanting, you know, more people to either take out or at least soften up Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie before she has to defend titles against both of them in a three-way match at Rebellion. But unfortunately, it does not work. Rosemary pins Tennille Dashwood after distraction from Deonna Purrazzo. Segment rating of 38. The storyline has gained heat, but Cassie Lee is off her game. I think she was off her game in whatever the last match they had. Um, but yeah, I think my neighbor is mowing their yard, and I hope you can't hear it. So, yeah, they're mowing now. If you can hear that, good or not good, but if you can't, whatever. Hopefully, I can talk louder. But yeah, Rosemary and Valkyrie, get the upper hand. The odds were against them, but they still came out on top. Segment rating of 38. Everyone seemed to be in the general same in-ring performance. And then after the match, and likely after a commercial break, we go backstage, and Deonna and Tennille are uh, arguing with each other, kind of both blaming each other on the loss. Deonna says Tennille lost the match, but Tennille says Deonna, and where she wouldn't have lost if Tiana didn't interfere. And they're just like, what if, Tennille's just kind of like, trying to patch things over, and she's just like, all right, we can fix this, we can fix this, and Tennille's just more uh focused on getting in the champ's good graces for a future title shot. And she's like, well, what if what if we team up next week to take on Rosemary and Taya? And Deanna's, at first she's not feeling it, but she's kind of at her wit's end. She's just like, I guess I don't really have a lot of options. It's one more week till Rebellion, and I gotta get them out of the picture, man. If it takes you to team up, if it takes me teaming up with you to do that, we gotta do it. So, segment rating of 26, not that great of a segment. And then later on, we get a interview with Gail Kim by Gia Miller. Um, and Gia just comes out. She's like, I know you've been in, negotiations. Yeah, I know we're probably not supposed to talk about it. I know the, cameraman's been picking up discussions with uh someone, the past couple weeks. I just got to ask, is there someone new coming into Impact? And Gail's just like, yeah, well, I'm always in contact with new talent, bringing in new talent to Impact, but nothing's finalized. But we hope that, you know, if everything goes good, we can have someone debuting at Rebellion. So, but nothing concrete yet. But stay tuned. And Gia's just like, oh, new, you know, possible new talent at Rebellion. Gail's just like, no, it's not official yet, but, kind of downplaying it. But, cat's out of the bag. Maybe someone new coming into Impact at Rebellion. Segment rating of 27. We don't want to reveal who that is yet. And then later on, even more backstage somewhere else. We basically get Chelsea Green. She's kind of backstage, just checking herself out, um, like in the mirror, checking out her makeup, making sure she looks good. But then we get Jordan Grace, the digital media champion, comes back, and we kind of get the look that she's been looking for Chelsea Green, all night, and finally sees her, and basically, Grace chases Chelsea throughout the backstage, but Chelsea is able to hide. Grace doesn't see where she goes, and Grace just kind of, or Jordan just kind of storms off, bummed that she couldn't get her hands on Chelsea Green at least for tonight. So, uh, the you know the eventual face off will have to wait. If not at Rebellion, they'll obviously be wrestling at Rebellion, but for tonight, Jordan's not going to get her hands on Chelsea for laying her out a couple weeks ago. Segment rating of 31. We get a non-title match where Josh Alexander defeats Michael Bennett. Um, Basically, they have apparently good match. Segment rating of 49. Josh Alexander's in-ring performance of 52, Bennett's 43, and then Maria at ringside. But basically, this ends when Michael Bennett intentionally gets counted out. Eventually, he realizes, hey, this isn't for the title, so I'm wasting my time. And him and Maria just walk off in the middle of the match and intentionally get counted out, leaving Josh Alexander in the ring. Segment rating 49. So good match, probably one of the best we've had so far, but kind of very much a bullshit ending, but purposefully so because Michael Bennett and Maria Kanellis are pricks. So, and then backstage, we get Brian Myers calling the Good Brothers. And by this point, the Good Brothers are just like, oh, why does the guy keep calling us? And Myers is frantic. He's like, I sent Avery to get, to run some errands, and he hasn't come back yet, and I don't know where he is, and we've got a match. And if he's not back, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Can you guys hook me up with a new partner? And by this point, the Good Brothers are just like, this guy just, first he wants a buy, and then he wants all these things from us. We can't, and he's like, we can't just keep doing these things for you. So it's more of a comedy segment than anything. But the fact is, he's like, the Good Brothers are just like, hey, if you can't get a partner, you're just probably gonna have to go on it yourself. So good luck, buddy. And they hang up on him. So more of a comedy segment than anything. Uh, Brian Myers might be having to face the Motor City Machine Guns by himself, and a segment rating of 47. And then backstage, lots of backstage segments and recurring theme in angles. We have Jonah being laid out by this. This is backstage, not in the ring, like the thing says. But basically, W. Morrissey has laid out Jonah and is basically beating him up, bloodied him up, laid him out, was unconscious. Finally, after a minute or two, Jake something uh saves Jonah. Morrissey begs off. He doesn't want to fight tonight, but he's proved his point. He's laid out Jake's friend and uh stuck it to him once again. Um Jake yells after Morrissey, but the point's been proven. Um Storyline is advanced but lost heat, which actually last when I looked after last week's Impact, this has actually become one of our hot storylines. Originally, it was just the Good Brothers and the Wolves, but this has gone up there. Hopefully, it hasn't lost that much heat, but the plan is working. We kind of wanted to get the Morrissey rub, for lack of a better word, and give it to somebody like Jake something. And so far, hopefully, it's working. Putting in guys like Jonah and Joe Doring, probably helped that, but there's also there need to be more story or star power for fighting this long. I think this is a segment that's like minimum 4 minutes, so but we'll probably see later on because I think we use this angle again. Segment rating 33. And then for the semifinal match in the Good Brothers Tag Team Tournament, the Motor City Machine Guns beat Brian Myers. It ends up being a handicap match. He can't get a tag team partner, and basically, um, the Motor City Machine Guns just run wild on him. Chris Sabin pins Brian Myers after 8 minutes. Um, pretty good segment. 47, pretty good match. All these guys are, solid. So, you know, actually, I wonder like if including Avery Good might have brought the rating down because no offense to Avery Good, but he's not quite at a level of a Alex Shelley or a Chris Sabin or a Brian Myers. But that's kind of the point. Brian Myers is there to he claims to elevate these guys, but it's really all about him. And tonight it really was all about him. He's in a handicap match and he got his ass beat. So that's what he gets. And all of his guys are gone. So yeah. Segment rating of 47. And then we get an angle backstage where it starts off as the Gospel of Violence cutting one of their creepy promos, and they talk about having the match next week, but it gets interrupted by the Wolves themselves. They're back. They've kind of been at the short end of the stick regarding um, the Gospel of Violence has kind of had their number, but mostly in underhanded ways and ambushes and backstage assaults. But you know, this is just another backstage pull apart brawl between two teams. Uh, and they are going to settle it for once and for all, hopefully, next week in the last semifinal match of the Good Brothers Tag Team Tournament, segment rating of 39. And then in our main event for the quote unquote Ring of Honor title, Jonathan Gresham defeated Dalton Castle. Dalton Castle's first match in Impact, but unfortunately, I'm trying to remember if I actually did have him submit because basically Gresham submits Castle, but there's also interference in there by Michael Bennett. Let's just say, I think the plan was for Michael Bennett to run out and hit Gresham. He hits Dalton Castle instead, which goes into the submission, which, Castle ends up tapping his, his last chance at becoming Ring of Honor World Champion once again has, he had to give it up. But Sigma Arena 41, Gresham is a nearing performance of 50, Dalton Castle is a nearing performance of 45. So we have Bennett going to attack Gresham, and basically after the match, Bennett does come into the ring and attack Gresham, which quickly brings out Josh Alexander for the save, or at least chases Michael Bennett off. Michael Bennett and Maria run out. By I have the save here for as the angle, but what I don't have here is Josh Alexander taking the mic and addressing Gresham, and he's like, I know you've had a busy schedule as champion. Feel kind of bad. I haven't had the same quite of grueling schedule, but I think that Michael Bennett, he didn't give me the challenge I wanted. He walked out. And I need more of a warm up match than that. So how about Gresham? You get a partner. I'll get a partner next week. We have a tag match. So that ends the show. We have a mystery, or at least, undecided tag team match for next week. Segment rating 37. That finishes the show. Overall rating of 43. Show lost popularity in one region, which I think is less than before, normal, and increased our popularity in 31 regions. So, yeah, getting closer to Rebellion. We have Steve Macklin versus Shark Boy for the X Division title is official. Rosemary versus Taya versus Deonna Purrazzo is beneficial. Alexander versus Gresham, but before then, we have them facing off in a tag match next week. We have the Gospel of Violence and the Wolves next week to determine who faces the Motor City Machine Guns at Rebellion for a tag team title shot against the Good Brothers at Under Siege. So things are coming together. Um, Overall rating of 43. Probably a good show. I don't want to find out now. I'll tune in next week for the news, but I don't want to go in and wait because the load times with this data are pretty bad. So I don't want to spend the next few minutes waiting on those. But until then, until next week, we'll find out how good this show did. We have next week our last show to Rebellion, where everything will come together and hopefully we will continue an upward trend. So yeah, thanks for watching.